Welcome to Educators with Oil. I am your host, Ronette Branham, and I am here to offer biblical strategies for effective teaching. And I have a special guest today, Dr. Ketsia
Alert
Sadler.
Sadler.
Ketsia Alerte Sadler. How are you today, Ketsia?
I am good. How are you? I'm so excited to be on the show with you today. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm excited too. So, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, then we can get into the topic of today.
So, I am a registered nurse with 28 years of experience. This is my 22nd year, though, as a school nurse in a public school system in Bergen County, New Jersey. I'm married with two sons. They're 31 and 27. And I have two passions, which are students living healthy lifestyles. So my mission is to ensure that they start learning different things as kids to take into adulthood. And then my other passion is college preparedness. And so College Cafe is the company I've had unofficially for about 12 years, officially about 3 years, where we help families finance the whole process to get into college. So I talk to my target audience would be seventh and eighth graders, talking to you about what your intended plans are for the future and see which high schools may align with that. And parents as well, because parents ultimately have to pay that money.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that both parties are understanding what the goals are for the child, where are the child's strengths, so you can get the financial scholarships and the merit scholarships as well. So
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'm my granddaughter's in sixth grade, so I'm gonna call you next year, and she's like honor roll type. She does her work, and she's like really bright. So I'm trying to get them preparing. So
right.
we're gonna call you next year.
So the one thing I want to say though is that, a lot of times our kids, we say, oh, my child's bright and my child's going to get in. But what we're finding is that even sometimes the brightest kids don't get into the schools that they're expecting. So that's why every child needs to be almost so diversified in a way and so unique
Mm-hmm.
that the school is going to want you. You can't
Yeah.
kind of copy off of somebody else. So you need to look good on paper in all different aspects. So they make sure that I want this child, even if your grades aren't the best, even if your test scores aren't the best, but when you package it all together, you are one. They're like, nah, this child is coming to our school.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We have to think about. Yeah. So she's yeah. We'll talk. So so we want to talk about today. We want to talk about health. We want to
Yes.
talk about health, and the health of our teachers is so important. I don't know. I'm going through so much right now with my health, and I'm going through something where my blood pressure is up, and it's up for no reason, right? So I just figured out today what my problem is. I had COVID in the summer, and so I've been taking Sudafed ever since, and I didn't know Sudafed causes high blood pressure. I didn't know that. How do I know that? Because the after COVID was over, I took it to keep my sinuses clear, right? And so then I still had a cough, so I still had a postnasal drip. So I still kept taking Sudafed. And now I'm going through all kind of look, my face is all it's still got this congestion all up in here. It never went away yet.
Right.
So now I'm taking antibiotics, so my face is like I'm trying to figure out how to turn my face off. But yeah, but we have to be on top of that. Like, why is your? I went to the doctor. Blood pressure's up. Why is it? We keep an eye on it. Check it again. Check it again. Keep an eye on it. It's going up, and then it's going a little bit down, but never like it's usually 120 over 79 or something like that. It's never higher than that. And then, man, it's just the bottom number's going up. Every number's going up. So,
And that's scary. When you look at blood pressure, they used to say that 120 over 80 was a good blood pressure. Now they're saying that if your pressure is that, then you're borderline for being at risk for having high blood pressure. But one thing you said that maybe that people don't always do, myself included, we don't read the fine print on those boxes.
no.
So it could have been that it may cause a side effect that you're not even realizing. And then the other thing too is sometimes when we go to our doctor's office, they're not asking, they may not always ask the right questions. So you as a consumer, as a patient, as a client, you kind of have to write things down of what you do. So when you go to a doctor, you say, well, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. Do you think that might be it? Because they may not think to ask you those questions.
Yeah, or they ask you the question and they don't really, they think, I say I take Sudafed for my congestion, and they're like, okay, I just took it 1 time, 2 times. No, I've been taking this stuff. So like, this is like, we didn't discuss that. We're discussing why is your blood pressure so high? And my doctor called me back yesterday actually to say we need a follow-up appointment, because yeah, it's so much. But reading that fine print, and I always said before that if something has a side effect, just assume that it's you, that it's going to happen to you. And I learned that, but I never looked at Sudafed. I'm like, Sudafed, I don't take Tylenol because I know it messes with your liver. Ibuprofen messes with my stomach, and I'm like, Sudafed is cool. It's just Sudafed, whatever it is, it's just that. I don't know. That's bad.
No, and that's the thing. And that's a good thing to think about. If those side effects are going to happen, more than likely you may have them.
And even if you're not, just think like, this could happen to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So health is such a broad. We want to talk about food, what we're ingesting, but that medication, we're ingesting that.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It all has an effect.
I know.
Effect.
I want to give just a couple scriptures before we get all the way in before I go. I have and then I have some questions for you. But like talking about healthy diets, it's because like Romans 12:1 says, present your bodies a living sacrifice. Where is it? Present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And we that was my favorite scripture forever. And I didn't take it. I took it like about being pure, right? I took it like about keeping your like being pure sexually, or what am I listening to? What am I talking about? That and then never take it as food. What am I doing? I always had a good weight. Now, you get older, that weight doesn't stay the same.
That
so yeah, so I took it like that. Then I'm gonna give you one more. Then I'm not gonna keep cutting you off. And then the Bible talks about in 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17, where it's talking about you're the temple of God. Don't you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own? So, we're talking about how we're going to take care of this body that doesn't even belong to us.
Right.
This is something that God gave us temporarily, because we know we're mind, body, and spirit. So your spirit is in this body, doesn't belong to you, and you're treating it any kind of way. So we could talk on that. But so I had those, and talking about, I know you want to talk about eating right and how are we supposed to eat. And so I have concerns about eating right, exercise, what to eat. We have all kind of food choices that don't make sense to us. Like, what would you suggest for teachers? Because stress can cause us to eat, then stress has caused changes to our bodies, and that means we have to eat a certain way to counteract all that stress. So what would you say to somebody that's listening?
So what and teachers are in a very unique position, because you're expected for the most part of the day, besides your 40-minute prep and your 40-minute lunch, to be up in front of students all day long. When I talk to teachers about eating proper or drinking water, for instance, like, well, I can't drink that much water because if you're especially in a class where you're by yourself, if you're an inclusion teacher, you have a co-teacher. But if you're by yourself, you don't have anybody to ask to watch your class for you to go to the bathroom.
No, you don't.
So, but that's one thing we should do is they say that in order to be healthy as far as your kidneys, you should be drinking at least half your body weight in ounces of water a day. So you figure that out. If you're 150 pounds, and that's 75 ounces of water a day. Sounds good. But if you're a teacher and you're drinking that much during the day, that's going to have you run to the bathroom. So you have to figure out how how to start drinking at a point where, okay, may have to do that in the evening when I'm on my way home from work to do that. So that's the water piece. Now, as far as eating, the best way is to try to eat foods as close to nature as possible. Fresh fruits, vegetables, meats. You know, we're living in this microwave time where we can get our meals, you know, cooked in like 2 minutes, or you're gonna go to a fast food place or a restaurant and grab your foods. But do you know how they're cooking them?
No.
Like some places you go and eat, you know they didn't just cook that meal. It came out too fast. Somebody's microwaving something for it. So we want to try to eat as close to nature as possible. Stay away when you're food shopping. You want to do the outer perimeter of the market.
Yeah.
Because when you start going into those aisles, and even in the freezer aisles, for something to not have an expiration date that's a year away, what do you think they're putting into it? And that's where the salt is coming in. So if you've got high blood pressure, you need to stay away from anything that's packaged, whether it's in the freezer aisle or in the other aisles, because there's way too much salt in there for you.
I know. Oh.
And then for our kids too, you know, and then when you look at the things that the kids are eating, some of these cereals are just awful. Stay away from stuff that's got, you have to start to be a label reader, just like we said before. You have to look at the labels to see what the ingredients are. If fructose is in there as the first, you don't want it. If sugar is the top ingredient, you don't want it. If you can't pronounce what they say, you don't want it.
So you know what? You know what I did? I went to a nutritionist, right? I went to a few, but the last one I had, she was one of the best. Is she the one? I don't know if she's from the high school, I mean, hospital, or if she was the one from, I had one from ShopRite, because you could go on ShopRite and they'll call you. So one, I'm not sure which one it was. And so she was talking about, I was like, I'd eat that. And she was like, the processed food, right? That is what is causing high cholesterol. Because I was worried about that. So then she said, oatmeal. I said, hey, oatmeal, that's good. She said, not that one with the sugar in it. I said, but it's just a little packet. And she said, get the box. Get the box. Because I was like, in my freezer, you're not going to find anything. You might find some meat. I don't have all that stuff. I stopped buying all that extra junk. People come to my house, there's like, you have water. That's what I have. And I don't have juice, tea, nothing not to offer you. So I looked on the box. She was like, if it's, I forgot what the percent of sugar, added sugar. She said, look at the added sugar. It was like a quarter of what you're supposed to have for the whole day of carbs. And I'm like, this little packet, this is a trick. It's a trick.
Right.
You thinking I'm eating oatmeal.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and like we said, you got to stay away from the packaged items. We're not, so she probably told you steel cut oatmeal.
Yeah, she said
even healthier. Yes.
Yeah, she said oatmeal. I'm like, I got oatmeal. You don't have to tell me twice. That's my thing. No.
Not the packets. And I'm guilty of that too. I can't say that I was always such a healthy person or being healthy, but my kids, I knew from the time they were little, we stayed away from the sugar and things like that, or sodas. We didn't have it. So when we go to a family gathering, like, mommy, there's only soda. There wasn't even water as an option.
Yeah, I never.
Right.
Yeah.
So so with them, it was a learned behavior, because I took those things. And granted, every now and then you're gonna have it, but it could not be a daily thing. You know, so you have those. And then with the juices, we used to drink those Tropicana punches and things like that. But when you look at it, it'll say 100% vitamin C, but when you read the label, it's saying it's only like 25% juice. So what's the use of it? High fructose corn syrup, stuff that you don't want to have. I just recently watched a webinar where they were talking about how children who are exposed to sugar, even at 6 months, how they have a greater tendency to be overweight and obese, as opposed to children who are not. So what we're feeding the kids, even as infants, makes a difference. So there's an impact on us as adults as well. So that's why I'm a school nurse, because when I was working, I worked for 17 years as a floor nurse, 13 years on cardiac units. And patients would say to me, oh, you know, they come in to have the angioplasty, and in their patient teaching, they're saying, I don't understand why I had a heart attack. I eat healthy, but I said, but when you were younger though, you probably didn't. So there's that component from when you were a kid. And then we have
Yeah.
our genetics that we can't run away from. So
Oh
you have
yeah,
to
yeah.
make, yeah, you have to make, like I know in my family, I'm pretty sure that high cholesterol runs on my mom's side of the family because mine is kind of borderline high too. Not
Oh,
really
okay.
realizing that genetically our bodies create cholesterol. So if you're already
Yeah.
creating it and then you're eating the wrong stuff, you're putting yourself in a bad situation.
That's what I learned from my nutritionist. I didn't
Mhm.
know my body creates cholesterol. I'm like, okay, where am I getting all this cholesterol from? But then she
Mhm.
talked about the processed food, and
Mhm.
so just I'm sorry, my granddaughter is texting me, and I had to answer it. So, but she taught me a lot. It's so funny how you can. I went to nutritionist every time like I needed to lose weight. Then I needed to work on my my not my blood pressure, just trying to get my sugar level down, make sure it wasn't getting too high. And then I did exercising and all that because I always walked. But then different nutritionists will come telling me different things, and they each helped me some kind of way. But then the last one, she came up with all this stuff I never heard. She was like, well, the recent studies say, and then it all made sense. Like, okay, then
Well,
we said
that's her
something.
job. She's supposed to read all that research to help
All the
you because we're
yes,
supposed to listen to her.
oh yeah, yeah. But it's like nobody else was telling me the stuff she said, and it's what you just said.
Right.
Mhm.
So, but that's the thing that they're finding now in medical school is that doctors are taught to treat, but they don't have that teaching piece with the
Yeah,
nutrition part of it. So they'll say, "Oh, you having a pain? We're going to give you a pill for it."
yeah.
So that's why there was controversy between MDs who are medical doctors and DOs who are doctors of osteopathy. They take some extra courses in order to,
Oh,
okay, you come in when you have pain, they're going to ask you about your lifestyle first before they just offer a pill to you.
yeah,
So they're trying to change the medical school so that doctors are more in tune with teaching and understanding the patients and the clients, and then even us as African Americans. And that's a whole other ball of wax I won't even go into tonight because we won't have time to talk about it.
yeah. I was talking to somebody about certain type of medicine. I'll come back. Give me like 10 minutes, 15. I'm sorry. That never happens. Okay. I usually tell people at 6 o'clock I have a show, and I didn't do that. So everybody's needing me right now. But I was talking to somebody, my father, about some medication that he was taking, and he was saying how his doctor was telling him it reacts differently in an African American than it would another race of person, like his high blood pressure medicine. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, that's something to look into, because
Mm-hmm.
if a doctor doesn't understand that, and then I have a doctor who she understands different things like white blood cells, it might be lower in an African American woman. Like if just say you go to the doctor, they're concerned about your white blood cell count, then they say it might be different. So all that we have to know about ourselves, and then just in general about this food that we're eating, all this processed food. I can't understand it. How I understand how we got there, but why are we eating that stuff? Like,
Because
um,
we don't understand because our lifestyle is we're so busy and we don't have time. But if you take the time and do what's called meal prepping, it
mhm.
saves you money and it's healthier for you too. My older son has been meal prepping for years. You know,
Oh,
he does not shop. He and his wife now Sundays they go grocery shopping. They've got their little containers and they pack their lunch, their breakfast. I don't think they do snacks, but I know people who do snacks as well.
yeah,
So that
you have
when you
to
get
plan.
hungry at work, you're not going to the vending machine to get
Mhm.
a Twinkie. Well, they don't really sell Twinkies as much, but you've got your nuts and your fruits and things like that.
Yeah,
So, but it's easier to buy the processed foods, but it's just not good for us, and we don't understand it. And we think it's going to be faster, but it costs more sometimes, some of those things. You
yeah.
know, or the other thing too is if you don't have time to cook, then you're not gonna buy stuff because it's gonna go bad. So you're like, well, I'll just buy, the processed stuff because I know it's gonna last longer.
Oh yeah. Well, I use Blue Apron. where
Yes, I like them.
I use that. I used to use Hello Fresh, but their stuff wasn't even fresh. They need to change their name. So I use Blue Apron, and it helped me to love to cook, like really chopping and getting those
Yes.
whole foods. And
Yes.
then it trains me a little bit. But I know we talked about the teachers with our stress levels, because our stress, I know everybody has to work at their job. They're going 9 to 5 or whatever. You have to work, but it's not like teachers are like performing the whole day, constantly, the whole day. That's
stress.
stressful.
Then you gotta go home and work.
Say that again.
And then you have to go home and work because you have to do your lesson plans in the evening. You can't do that during the daytime.
Yeah, well, we have to train ourselves that we use our prep for that. And I'm not saying I do, because I don't. I do it on Sunday, but I got it so I know how long it's gonna take. But I could use that time for something else, but I don't. So we have to learn how to do that too. Fix it so we use the time that we have. Because I told Shanae, she's my old co-host. I said, one day I was at work and I was like, I had to actually use my prep for prep. I actually had to prepare for my class and my prep, but that's my relaxing time. But you go to the bathroom, you relax, you might catch up with somebody, but I learned now, use that time unless you really need to relax, take a break, but use it, because when you come home, there's something else you have to do.
Right. Or if you're a younger teacher, you've got your kids. You got to take your kids to their games, their activities. So evening time, that should be your time to chill with your family.
So, all right, we talked about the food. How do you think the food we eat is affecting us, like mentally, physically, as it comes to work? Like, you know how people say if you're not eating right, you're sluggish and all that. So do you think there's a correlation between how we react and acting at work because of what we eat?
All the sugar that's in the food makes you hyper. You know how middle of the day, you feel like, oh, I need like a candy bar, but all it does is just make you crash later on. Or if you're constantly drinking sodas and things that have those FD&C red number 40 and C number 30 or whatever, those chemicals will affect you as well. Or if you drink caffeine. I had a coworker many years ago who came into my office one day just saying, I don't feel well. Her heart rate was in like the 130s, 140s. And we realized that, I'm like, well, what did you eat? What did you drink today? She's like, well, I had a tea. She couldn't drink caffeinated tea.
Oh, yeah.
Caffeine for some people is not good. So stay away from the processed stuff, the chemicals, the food coloring. If it's not close to nature, you don't want it. Or like soda, the ones that are drinking soda a lot. That's like diet sodas are even worse. The fake sugar, it's even worse than the real stuff.
I don't know, because I know people say that, and then I'm like, well, I don't know. But okay, so what do you suggest? I go to work. I need to have a snack. I know I'm gonna 10:30. I'm gonna need a snack. 11 o'clock. I'm gonna need a snack. What do I pack?
So you're gonna pack some fruit. The night before, you peel an orange. You cut up some apples. You slice up some bananas, and then of course you gotta think about your kids in your class. If you got kids with nut allergies, then you can't have some peanut butter with that, because some kids they're affected aerosolly by it. Or you pack yourself some sandwiches in a way that it's bite size. You can't have something that you're gonna need to cut with a knife and fork. Make it so that you could grab it with one hand and and keep teaching the other way, because our kids are looking at us. So if they see you grabbing an apple, they're gonna go home and say, Mommy, you know what? Miss Branham, she's always eating apples in class. I want to have apples. We're modeling them. I always say teachers became teachers because they want kids to learn about reading, writing, and arithmetic. I became a nurse to help them learn about the educational stuff. The kids don't see me all day, but they see you. They see you grabbing some strawberries, some blueberries. Try those fruit. Like those are ones I would say I never ate blueberries, blackberries, strawberries as a kid. Never. But now I do. Have a smoothie or something. Things that are portable. you know.
Yeah, I bring my little fruit cups. And then sometimes I have apples. Like I had apples yesterday. We had early dismissal, so they don't actually serve lunch on early dismissal days. They give them a grab and go lunch at the end of the day. So I tell the students to bring in food, bring in snacks. And so one kid brought in chips, and I already explained we're not bringing potato chips because the cholesterol. I explained it to the parents, and they had these other things they can bring. And so one little boy, he brings tomatoes. His mom, I don't know where she gets this stuff to make it look good, like these little sticks and things with heads on it, or she'll put eyes like raisins or something on something to make it all look cute. And he's loving all of that stuff. He had tomatoes and so I had some apples. I cut it. I cut it. It was for me because so they think 5 apples is for them now because I bought in. ShopRite had apples for $1, or $1.99, a bag of apples. So I used my slicer, I sliced it and put it in the bags and gave it to them. So now I had to give my apples away because they wanted the apples, but they wanted. They weren't looking for anything else. So they know they were coming in with healthy snacks because I pointed it out. So yeah, you're right.
Teachers can be so influential on the kids as to what they eat. Absolutely.
Right. Because they do. They tell, they go back home and tell their parents, well, my teacher said this, or my teacher said that. And then they come back and you see the snacks. They have little, today too, little oranges, little mandarin oranges, bananas. And then if somebody has something else, they're looking like, because they're used to getting those, processed food.
Right.
But they'll eat it in the end, but I'm glad they are changing. It is right. We make a big difference.
We do. I have to say my favorite teacher in school was my 4th grade teacher, Ms. Blanche Chaikin at PS 111 in Long Island City, New York. And she on Fridays was always free time in the afternoon. She would read to us and then bring different foods for us to try. So I had figs and dates, stuff that I was eating in my house. But she brought different stuff to me. And so I always remember that and like I said, 4th grade is my favorite year because that teacher helped expose me to different things.
Right. So too, using my blue apron helped me to eat healthier too.
Yes.
And I can see the difference in what I'm doing and how I feel. I'm not sluggish, and then it's helping. So and I hadn't had it. I started again last week. So I hadn't had it like for a few months, not a few months, September. This is October only. So like the end of August, September, I didn't have it. Coming back to work, it's been all the summer money. So
yes.
But so I just started last week at getting it back. But it helps me. And when you said that, that's what got into my head where I'm eating things that I never ate before, like these fruit and vegetables, like what is the things I love? Capers. I never heard of capers in my life until this year. I never heard of I never heard what a caper is.
We found out about them last year. They're delicious.
Oh my goodness, put it on your chicken and your all that is some good stuff. So it once you eat, I think you'll see if we have blood pressure issues, I do know you'll see it going down. Then we need exercise. So do you talk about like what kind of exercise is good for a teacher? We always have something to do.
Well, walking, I would say when you're taking the kids from your classroom to another place, once you drop them off, take the long way back to your classroom.
Oh yeah,
always take the stairs instead of the elevator. On your prep, take a walk around the building or outside if the weather's nice. Way to get some steps in. And when you're going up the stairs, maybe skipping steps, that helps you do like lunge type activity. So different things like that to get some movement in. Now, if you can go to the gym, then I would say, either get up early or go after work. I've been noticing some of the teachers with mindfulness, they've been playing yoga videos in the classes with the kids. So do it with the kids. Sometimes the kids need a break. When they start asking to use the bathroom and go to a nurse, that's because their brains are getting a little tired. So take a movement break. There are plenty of
Yeah.
YouTube videos. Pull something up and do like a 5 minute, jump in or whatever with your students. That'll get some exercise going because everyone can't do everything because of whatever health limitations you have, but
Yeah.
everyone can walk. So you can
Yeah,
definitely.
walking. Mostly everybody can walk unless you
Hmm.
have real issues. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I do. I walk. Then I took somehow I got out of walk. For years, that's all I did was walk. So then I did get out of that. I don't know how I did that. That's just in the past few months. I don't know what happened. Maybe working on this, I come onto the computer now, and instead of going for a walk, but I can see the difference from that. So I appreciate all this. I know we can go in 10 different directions talking about health and what we eat.
I could. Oh, and I wanted to say one thing about Blue Apron and those HelloFresh things as well is they help you with portion control
Yeah.
because they will get if they're sending entrees for two people,
Hmm.
you only get enough for two people. My
Right.
youngest son uses HelloFresh now because he just started a new job. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, for benefits. So he gets a HelloFresh subscription. So he'll cook dinner, and the other entree is his lunch for the next day. So he's not
Right.
spending money on food.
That's
So
my
cost
breakfast.
effective.
Yes, it is. That's my breakfast. Unless I offer it to somebody. My grandson
Mhm.
was here, he would get it. Then
Mhm.
he said, "You trying to be funny. You don't even cook anything I like." Well, too bad, because that'd be my breakfast. But
Mhm.
then I have the vegetable in the morning time.
Right.
I
Right.
love it. That works for me.
Right.
And then when you go to the store, it's so expensive too. So you might as well just get your meal and you have everything you need
That you need.
and it's fresh, whole food. So
And
I
you're getting that workout too, because the thing we lost years ago, like mashed potatoes, for instance, now you got an instant box. But if you got
yeah.
a mashed potatoes, that's giving you a little workout. If you cut up stuff,
Yeah.
you help you working out those muscles and stuff. So when you think about it, cooking food is exercise in itself because you're
I,
not just sitting there pushing a button waiting for it to cook.
right.
You're
I didn't
doing
think of that.
something. You're
I
doing
didn't think
things.
of that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that. Now I know, but I love the chopping. It does something relaxes me all in
Yes.
here. It
It gets that
does.
stress out. It's a stress reliever.
It is. Because I'm
Getting out those
chopping.
frustrations.
Yeah, carrots and peppers and onions. I never did any of that. I didn't.
Mhm.
I didn't. I used to use. I know we don't have, but that how much? I don't know. We have a couple.
4 minutes, 4.5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I, okay. So I used to use Prego. You probably got a lot of sugar and salt in it. Or Regu. You know how I make my spaghetti sauce? Is which I hardly eat spaghetti sauce, but if I do, it's chopped tomatoes. Chopped tomatoes, and then you maybe put something in it. But that is so good. So good. Then of course you have your meat with it. But it's
Mhm.
I'm like, I could have been doing this all the time.
Exactly.
All the time I'm sitting here. Prego used to be the big jar. Now
Yeah,
it's so tiny for the more money. So
of course.
all that, but I thank you for this. I thank you for
You're welcome.
coming on and offering suggestions.
It's
I,
my pleasure.
next time we're going to hone it into one little subject because you can talk to 10
81
points
of those. Mm-hmm.
on just healthy eating
Yes,
because you can show us some recipes. This is what you eat with that because that combination stuff.
of course. Makes
Oh
it
my goodness. I can't even. And then this is one tip I heard about just making your plate colorful. You're going to
yes,
get all the vitamins and nutrients that you need.
exactly. Exactly. Yes, definitely. It makes it and making it look pretty because even as adults, if it don't look nice, we're not going to eat it. So
Everything
imagine our
bland.
kids. Right. They want to see
Yeah,
something pretty. So yes,
yeah,
colorful definitely works.
right. And that portion control. I
Hmm.
found out I can't eat that much. I thought I was good. And I'm like, what? I can't even eat. Right.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like okay. But again, thank you for coming
You're
on.
welcome. Thank you
And
for
you want to, is there a way we can get in contact with at least for the college cafe if somebody's interested in that?
you can find me on Facebook. The Facebook page is College Cafe, and on Instagram it's College Cafe _ and send me a message through either one of them and I'll add you to our email distribution list. You can get all the scholarship and webinar information that's available. Because the motto at College Cafe is no more, pay less. The more you know
Oh,
about the process, the less you will pay.
I like that. And
Yep.
how about if we have to, if we wanna, we gotta, I don't know what that says.
You got 2 minutes.
Oh, and how about if we want to ask you a health tip or something like that? The teachers, at least the teachers. Can we contact you there too? Or
Yeah, that's fine too. Contact me at either one of those and I will email you back or message you back.
okay, because we don't always understand those labels. I didn't understand that added sugar part. I didn't understand that. I never paid any attention.
We usually don't because we're
No.
not we're not reading those labels, but you have to for your health. And I'm going to say that this part real quick. This generation of children is the first one that's not going to live longer than its parents because of the health issues. We're more overweight, they're more obese, they have more chronic conditions. So if we don't nip this in the bud now, we're not going to have a future. So we as adults have to start reading the labels and train our children to read the labels as well and ask questions. You know,
Right.
ask if you go out to eat, ask them, well, what is in it? What does this mean? Because
And
what we
train them.
eat, we got to protect that temple. What you're eating is going to have an effect on you.
Right. I know. I look at my grandkids. So thank you for that. And thank
You're welcome.
you for tuning in to Educators with Oil. Again, I'm Ronette Branham. And this is Dr. Ketsia Alerte Sadler. And thank you and have a good day.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.